Hello, my name is Allison Carmen, and welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. And the name of today's podcast, The Key to Finding More Joy in 2026, Right-Sizing Our Problems. And as we all look back on so many years of our lives, we could see that every year we had problems. Some years they were larger problems, some years they were smaller problems, but we often can't control the amount of problems that we have each year. But the one thing that we can control is to right-size our problems. And when I say this, to put them in their rightful place within the context of our entire life. And I'm going to start with an example from my own life. So for me, I have this terrace, and all of a sudden one day I get notice that the building next to my terrace has been sold. And they want to cut windows out all over the building, which would overlook my terrace. And at the time in my life, my children were little, and they were so cute, and they were so happy, and my marriage was intact. And it was a really beautiful time of my life. But this problem of a big university trying to cut out windows that would change my privacy, change the security of my apartment, it just overwhelmed me. And I remember talking about it every single day, talking to the building, and I had hired a lawyer. It was a very big thing in my life, or I thought so at the time. And we worked something out with the new owners, and there were less windows, and there was some film put on, and it was a compromise. And I remember I put these trees in, and I thought to myself, when these trees grow tall enough, they'll block the window, and I'll be happy. So as I was looking outside last week, I noticed that after 12 or 15 years, the trees have finally hit the height of the window. And I feel absolutely nothing. And I said to myself, how could something have been so important to me back then, and now I feel nothing? And the truth is, it's not that it wasn't an issue in my life. It's not that we don't have issues in our lives that matter. But I did not right-size that problem at the time. And I lost out on months and months and months, peace and joy and laughter. And I know why. The reason why it happened, it was because I was so afraid of the uncertainty of it. I was so afraid that it wouldn't be okay. I didn't know how I was going to work it out. And that's why our problems are not right-sized. And we forget that all the things that are going on in our lives that are right are usually very quiet. You don't think about all the appliances in your kitchen not working when they're working. You don't think about all the things in your body that are working when you feel okay. And so because we don't remember all the things that are right, and we are so uncomfortable with the 1, 2, 3, 4 things in our lives that came that we didn't expect, nothing is right-sized. Our discomfort doesn't ask permission to take over. If we're not aware of it, it just expands. The uncertainty and what's unresolved gets louder in our minds. But we have to remember, just because something is loud, just because something is bothersome, just because it's annoying, it doesn't mean that it's big. It doesn't even mean that it's significant. Those windows felt so large at the time, and I did everything I had to do. I could have done it without the same frustration. I could have said, okay, I have a problem, how it's going to fit into my lives. Yes, I had to hire an attorney. Yes, I need to do this or that. I could have sold my apartment. I could have waited. I could have been more in the maybe. And I could have remembered so much more of all that was right. So what can we do? The first thing we could do is write the problem in one sentence. No drama, no adjectives. For me, I could have written down that my neighbor wants to cut out a bunch of windows. How can I stop this from happening and make it work for me? For you, it could be, I don't have enough money in the bank to pay my bills this year. I lost my job. I have to get a new one. I would like to meet someone new, and I don't know how to do it. These things, I'm not saying they're not important, but you have to see where they fit in your life. Because once you do your best, and even if that problem is large and noisy, how you hold it is going to right-size it. Number 2, you could ask yourself, what else in my life is steady or good right now, or joyful or beneficial? You can ask yourself, is this problem I'm facing permanent or uncomfortable and temporary? And again, like I said, what part of this is actually in my control? And step 3 is the resizing of the problem. If your life was the full page, how much space does this problem deserve? A paragraph, a sentence, a footnote? And I've learned in my life, not all, but most problems don't deserve all my attention, my intention, my energy, my love. Some are large enough they deserve a paragraph, but sometimes I could ruin my day over a footnote, over something that I won't remember a year from now. And I know you feel the same way, but it still hooks you and it still gets you. So we have to analyze it. Is the discomfort taking over? And how do you quiet that discomfort? And also you might want to think about the maybe practice, because possibly your fear is so great that your life might not work out, that you're doomed, that this thing is bigger than you think it is, or there's no resolution. And you could use the maybe practice to remember that you're not stuck and you're not doomed. That until your last breath, you have maybe. And then you get to remember also all the things that are going right. Your friends, your family, the job you like, your health, you're going out for dinner tonight, whatever it is. Don't let the problem not be right size so you can't live in the glory of your life, the beauty of your life, the sanctity of your life, the gratitude of your life, the remembering of all that's working. What's working is the platform to explore all the possibilities on the unlimited field, the world of the unknown. And problems get solved in the unknown. And again, right sizing doesn't mean pretending things are fine. And we're not talking about toxic positivity. And we're not saying just be grateful. Again, it means placing the problem back into its proportion inside your life. Because most of our problems, we give them all the space instead of the reasonable amount of space that they deserve. And in 2026, we know there will be uncertainty. We know there'll be disruption. We know there are going to be things that we don't get immediate answers to. And the joy that we get to feel every day will belong to those of us who could say, this is challenging, this is hard, but it is not everything. If we have less problems in 2026, we'll add to our joy and our expansiveness and our peace. Yes. To pretend that problems aren't challenging and annoying sometimes is not being real. But I don't think all of our joy in 2026 is going to come from having fewer problems. I think it ultimately comes from refusing to let what's loud drown out what's true for us, what's coherent, what's aligned, what gives us strength and peace and makes our heart open up and feel the deep love of living. And I think that happens when we remember the quiet parts of our lives, the love, the health, the connection, the small moments of peace. They still count even when they're not making noise. And so I think one of the major perspectives to carry into this year is don't spend your entire year focused on problems and forgetting all that's beautiful in your life. Right size them. Have patience with them. Don't let the uncertainty cause so much discomfort that it's the only thing you could see and hear. Remember, uncertainty is your best friend. If you want your life to change, it has to happen in the unknown. Answers are not always there in the moment we want them. And sometimes even when we're going through a difficult time, we have to remember everything that is working for us. How do we have a clear mind to do what we need to do to try to solve these problems and still be sturdy and grounded? So as we right size our problems, we let the rest of our life speak again. And when you do this, you will find that your life is so much better than you realize. There are so many blessings in your life. And again, it doesn't mean ignore what you don't like. It's just choosing what takes center stage, how you're going to hold each day. Because for all you know, maybe that problem is going to teach you something. Maybe that problem is going to solve over time. Maybe it's a problem you have to learn to live with, but as the other things get louder and your problem gets right-sized, you find more balance. You find less extremes. You find things that bring you joy. And so that problem doesn't own you. You own your own inner coherence and the way you choose to live. And most of all, in 2026, for all you know, maybe the best is yet to come. Thank you for listening to my podcast today. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you could email me at allison@allisoncarmen.com. If you'd like to buy my books, The Gift of Maybe, A Year Without Men, Maybe Everything's Okay, A Parent's Guide to Less Stress and Worry, they're available at all major bookstores and online retailers. If you'd like to buy my Maybe cards or my Maybe digital journal, they're available on my Stan Store and Etsy. And most of all, if you like this podcast, I hope you subscribe and leave a comment.